Welcome to Reflections with me, Muhammad Abubakar. In the program, we try to play host to those outstanding Nigerians, men of yesteryears and women of yesteryears that have made Nigeria proud in their respective endeavors. Our guest today, who was born in 1925 in Iye Ikiti in the present day Ikiti State, is no other person than Senator Chief AYO Pasomi, the national leader of Afenifere, a staunch supporter of the All Progressives Congress, and a strong believer in the Nigeria project. As I said, he was born in 1925 at Iye Ikiti in Ikiti State. He had his early education in St. Paul's Primary School, secondary education in Ebutemeta and Government Secondary School, Ibadan, before going to Lagos for pharmaceutical studies. We shall hear more in his background later in the program as it gets on. Join me to welcome the national leader of Afenifere, Senator Chief AYO Pasomi. Sir, you are welcome.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
I appreciate your coming here.
Thank you, sir. You are not looking 95. It's surprising that you talk with energy and you still have energy in you, even at 95. Sir, let me say congratulations.
Once again, I welcome you to my house.
Okay. Sir, it is the tradition of the program, anytime the program is opportune to play host to a distinguished guest like you, to hear little about his humble beginning in life. What would the viewer know about your humble beginning, sir?
I was born on September 27th, 1925. My father, Pa Joseph Fadansi then, hails from Iye Ekiti and the present Ekiti State. While my mommy, I know Olori Egbe Pasomi, came from Ijeru Ekiti in Ijeru local government. So both of them hail from Ekiti. I was born in Lagos because my parents traveled all the way to Lagos to search for a living, and it was the most humble beginning. And I remember very well that in 1931, after a lot of struggle, I started schooling at St. Paul's School in Ebutemeta. My father was a bricklayer, molding bricks. In those days, burnt bricks. My mommy was a petty trader. After going to school for about 5 years at St. Paul's School in Ebutemeta in Lagos, my parents found it very difficult to pay my fees because of poverty. I was a victim of poverty. And I had to leave school for 1 year in 1936, helping my father in the farm to mold bricks. And I can remember very well that on March 31st, 1937, my father's uncle came to Lagos, Pa Samuel Adeni Williams, as he was called at that time, to visit my father. He didn't meet my father at home, and so he had to come to where we were molding bricks. And he found me there, and he asked my father. He called him, Fadansi, what is how you're doing here? Is he not going to school? My father explained to him that as a result of their financial problems. They could not afford even to pay a chicken fee, which was being paid at maybe 2 shillings, 2 and 6, and so on. So I was a victim of poverty by excellence. There on that day, my uncle, Pa Samuel Adeni Williams, took me straight, an engine driver, from where we were molding bricks in Lagos, in Ebutimeta. You know, if you know where Akinwumi Street is in Yaba, behind that street, we were doing our job. So it didn't allow me to go back home. As I told you, he was an engine driver. He took me straight to the railway station, put me inside the engine, not even in the train, and straight went to Ibadan, where I was working. When we got to Ibadan, after stopping school for 1 year, I started again at St. Patrick's School, Ibadan. I took it quiet, you know. And before the end of 1937, he was transferred to Offa, very near here, in Kwara State. And I followed him to Offa. And I started school again, Standard 2, in 1937 at Offa. St. Mark's CMS School, Offa, in Kwara State. I was in Offa then. I had to change my name because my uncle was bearing Williams. My father was known as Father and C. Every one of them was bearing the name they wanted for themselves. My uncle had worked with an Englishman bearing Williams. I don't know what he was doing with him. And in appreciation of what the man did for him, he adopted the name Williams. So in Lagos, I was AYO, Father and C, not even first semester at that time, because my father was bearing Father and C. When I came to Ibadan and Offa, I was known as AYO Williams. Well, Offa town played a prominent part in my life. I started in Stand 2 at Offa, and I was doing very well. At the end of the year, my uncle, who attended the parents' meeting, where the results of the students were being announced, was so happy with me. I came first in almost every subject. And my father decided, my uncle decided that whatever dress I wanted would be ordered from England. As at that time, we had what we have called a catalog. If you wanted anything there, you look at the catalog, and you make arrangement, and the dress will be sent to you in Ibadan, in Nigeria, or whatever it may be. So I was in Offa in 1937, Stand 2 in 1938. I was still in Stand 3 in Offa. In 1939, I was in Stand 4. In 1939, my uncle, Pa Samuel Adeni Williams then, was transferred to Kafanchan.
In Kaduna State.
In
Present days Kaduna State.
Kaduna State. And I had to follow him to Kafanchan. But before the year ran out in 1939, he was transferred back to Offa, where I completed my Standard 4 as at that time. In 1941, I was in Stand 6. And there was an advertisement in the paper that there was going to be the entrance examination to Government College Ibadan. Somebody saw it in the newspaper. And he came to my uncle, why won't you allow AYO to try this examination? So I didn't see it as anything very serious. I never realized that that was going to be the beginning of a new chapter in my life. I took the entrance exam to Government College Ibadan in 1941, and when the results were announced, there were, as at that time, they were admitting only 24 students for a class from all over the country. And I did so well that I was offered a government scholarship.
Okay.
As from that day, I took an oath with my God that if I had any opportunity to reach a good height in my life, I would not allow the common people to suffer.
Okay. Sir, you said the students were drawn from all parts of Nigeria.
All over as at that time.
So can you recollect some of those students who were admitted together?
Dr. Tunji Otegbe, you will know him very well. I was from Ilaro, and one of the best friends that I've ever had. I will tell you the story more about him. Then there was one Chakiri from now Bede State. There was one Ohiro. There was Madu Jamu. And a lot of people from all over the country.
Including northern part of Nigeria?
Including northern part of Nigeria. And from my own state, Ondo State then, there were two students I still remember. One, Onifade, who later became a doctor, dead now, one Fadero, and many others all over the country.
So was it a boarding school?
It was a boarding school. Everybody was there in the boarding school.
So how was life in the school?
And when I got to government college, I became interested in politics.
Even at that age?
Even at that tender age. Because having regard to the humble beginning I had and the suffering that I saw and I had also, I started developing interest in politics. And as at that time, Dr. Azikwe had come to the country and they were publishing the West African pilot. So, and the standard of education as at that time was very, very high. I was able to read the West African pilot. My uncle would ask me to take a copy of the West African pilot and read to him. I was so much fascinated by what I was reading in the West African pilot. So much so that when the Zikis movement was formed, I was very much interested in what was happening in the Zikis movement. I still remember two of my colleagues in the Zikis movement, late Osita Aguna and late Mokubo Okoye. Later in life, I met some of my friends from the north. I met Alagi Tanko Yakasai. We were both members of the Nigerian Youth Congress. I had not joined the action group fully. I was not a member, registered member of the action group there. People like Tanko Yakasai were the Nigerian Youth Congress with Otegbe, who I mentioned to you. We entered government college together in 1942. Mokubo Okoye and Osita Aguna, you know, they are all late now. Then Abiodun Aloba, Kola Balogun, and others. And
so you were government college Ibadan for how many years?
Well, I was supposed to be there for 6 years. I entered in 1942, but in 1946 they allowed us to take a London school matric, and I passed it with school certificate. I passed with an exemption from London Matric.
To qualify you for higher education?
In 1946. So, but I had to remain, we were asked to remain, we were the first set to take the exam in class 5. But we were asked to still remain in the college in 1946. I mean 47 rather. We took it 46. When I was in government college, somebody saw a newspaper advertisement that there was going to be an entrance examination to the pharmacy school in Yaba. What I had wanted to become in my life was to become a lawyer.
Not a pharmacist?
Not a pharmacist, you know. So a friend to my uncle saw this advertisement and said, why don't you allow AYO to go to Lagos and take this entrance exam? I remember 3 of us from government college went to Lagos. One, Mr. Kekiri, another Mr. Hiro, and the 3 of us passed the entrance exam.
And you were admitted?
And were admitted in 1947. We stayed there till 1950 when we all passed out. And in 1950, I became a qualified pharmacist. Having finished my examination in Yaba School of Pharmacy in 1950.
Who is a pharmacist?
If you go to any hospital, you first of all see the doctor. The doctor gives you a prescription, and then you must go and collect your drugs. The person in charge of the drugs which you are going to collect is known as a pharmacist.
Okay. So, sir, when you graduated from the pharmacy school in Yaba, Lagos, what happened afterwards?
Well, I was posted to the General Hospital at Broad Street, Lagos.
As a civil servant? Civil servant with salary?
We had signed an undertaking that we would serve for 5 years. And my first port of call was the General Hospital at Broad Street, Yaba. Before the end of 1950, I was transferred to Ibadan, Jericho Hospital in Ibadan. And in 1951, I was transferred to Shobo here. Osun State, the president of Osun State had only one government hospital, the whole state, and I was coming here to relieve somebody, an elderly person, much older than my father. I was a very young man at 26 when I came. Everybody was surprised because nobody had ever come to Shobo who was not much older than my father. Seeing me as a young man, 26, everybody was surprised. They said I was going to relieve the man who was on duty then. He had gone to Kano for an eye treatment, and I was expected to remain here for 3 months. But as God would have it, they said after the expiration of the 3 months, I continued to remain in Shobo. I was in Shobo in 1951, 52, 53. Then I was transferred to government hospital at AYO. But then by that time I had met Chief Obafemi Awolowo, and I was working for him. The Minister for Health in Western Region then was a lawyer, Dr. Justice. He became a judge, Igudaro. So I was transferred to AYO. But Chief Awolowo needed my services here, and he said, after spending about 6 months in AYO, in 1954, I was brought back to Shobo here. It was in the Shobo here that Harvard spent the 5 mandatory years which one had to spend after qualifying. Okay. I had to resign in 1955 to set up my own private practice.
Okay, after 5 years. Okay, let me take you back, sir. The very first month you received your salary, can you share with the viewer how much it was?
I told you earlier, I had many challenges in my life. Poverty was one of these challenges. When I qualified in the school for pharmacy, there had been a rift between my uncle and my dad, and I had to go back, towards the end of my course in government college. But when I earned my first salary in the pharmacy school, £6, 2 and 6 pence. That was the first salary. I was talking if you were in the school of pharmacy. I made sure I went back to my uncle in recognition of the invaluable services which he rendered to me. He brought me from the level of poverty to a stage where I could say I had become a qualified pharmacist. And what I did was to take the entire salary to my uncle. I said, "You are the one that God sent to me to be what I am as at that time." And I gave him. And the man said, the man wept.
He wept?
He wept. He said, "So you can't to me. Why don't you go and give this money to your daddy, to my brother?" I said, "No. You are the one that God used as an instrument to make my life what it was at that time." And but when we qualified and posted, that was when I was in the pharmacy school. We were earning £6.26. But when we qualified in 1950, we were earning £12 as at that time. And as I told you, I worked in Lagos, I worked in Ibadan, I worked in the Shobo here, and I worked in New York before I finally came back to settle, to start my own pharmacy, to go to private practice. In 1955, I went to private practice. But as I told you earlier on, law had always been my first choice. I was so much fascinated. Each time I went to court as a young man and met Chief Rotimi Williams and some other lawyers, I was always impressed by the argument. And I said, by the grace of God, I'm going to become a lawyer. After practicing pharmacy for about 1 or 2 years, I left my pharmacy to a friend, one Ade Farasi, brother to the Chief Justice of Lagos State at that time, to manage. I still traveled to England with the help people like Chief S.A. Lakitla, who were very friendly. There was no division in the action group. I still went to England to study law. Chief S.A. Lakitla was very helpful to me. He made sure that I was admitted to the Inns of Court where I studied. But until some circumstances beyond control, something happened to my father. You probably know, none of you, the Laropon train disaster. My father was in that train and he was badly injured. After spending about 1.5 years in London and England, I had to come back home without completing my course. And so my friends all came and said, "Why must you go back and with your law? Pharmacy is a nice job. You make your money, you do all that." And they prevailed on me. So I had to come back, and I was running my private pharmacy.
So you abandoned the law studies.
I couldn't go back to London where I was studying.
Okay. You just told the viewer that you left your family with a friend in Lagos. When did you said when you decided to go to London to study law, you left your family, or were you not married then?
Oh, I got married in 1953.
1953.
My wife had got a government scholarship that was after having her first daughter in 1954. My wife had gone to London on government scholarship.
To London?
To study nursing. Okay. So he went in 55. I think I went to join her in 56. And when I couldn't complete my course because of what happened, I came back home. I still left her, and she didn't return until 1960.
Okay. So, which means you got married at which age in life?
Well, in 1953, I was 28.
You got married at when you were 28?
When I was 28, yes. When I was 28, I got married.
Okay.
So my wife returned to Nigeria in 1960. And she started running a maternity home here in Oshobo. I was also running my pharmacy. But because of my involvement in politics, I had met Chief Obafemi Awolowo, and I fell in love with him. I had read his book, 2 of his books, and as I told you, I was first of all admirer of Dr. Azekwe. I was in the Zeke's movement. I told you with Mokubu Okoye, Sitaguna. I was in Nigerian Youth Congress with Tanko Yakasai and many others like that. But in the end, something happened. I had an interview. It was during the May Parade in the 50s. And I described May Parade, it was every May 24. I described myself as an independent member of the Action Group.
Action Group?
Independent member. And I would also that interview. He said, I would like to meet that young man. How could one be an independent member of a party? And he came to me. I told him I had no party card. I told him that I was independent in the sense that if the Action Group did anything that was right, I would praise the party. If they did anything that was wrong, I would condemn it. He said, no, you must join the party. And automatically, when the rift between Awolowo and Akintola started, Awolowo appointed me as a 12-member committee, National Reconstruction Committee of the Action Group, National Reconstruction Committee of the Action Group. The big people of Nigeria, most of them are gone now. The only person I know who was on that committee still alive is Professor Mabugunje. And that was the beginning of my contact with Chief Obafemi Awolowo. We would go into his house, have meetings together. Each of us were allocated to write papers on certain things or the other. I will come to the meeting with Chief Awolowo. We will discuss these papers. Then whatever decision was taken on the paper will be the policy of the Action Group. And that was the time when the Action Group had the philosophy of democratic socialism.
Viewer, if you are just joining us, the program is Reflections, and our guest is the national leader of Afenifere, Senator Chief AYO Fasami. Sir, at the beginning of the program, you told the viewer that your interest in politics began as a young secondary school student. I want you to talk more on what influenced your interest in politics.
As I told you, I was a victim of poverty. If you wanted to know anything, their definition of poverty, come and see AYO Fasami when he was a small boy. My parents were very poor, and I saw the way they lived, and I took an oath with my God that if ever in my life I got to a position where I can influence policy, I will make sure that the common man does not suffer. And when I was in government college, I used to go out through the bush path because you are not allowed to leave the company at all, to buy a copy of the West African pilot at that time. And the ideas which I got from the West African pilot at that time inculcated to me some political philosophy. And I told you I was interested in the Zikis movement. And as a matter of fact, Otegbe and myself and some others founded the Nigerian Youth Congress, until I totally surrendered everything I had. When I met Kivawolo, I said, you cannot be an independent member of a party. Then I totally committed myself to Awolo's party. And I must confess to you, Kivabafemi Awolo is one of the greatest leaders that I've ever met in my life. When we are talking of Winston Churchill, Gandhi, and so on and so forth, you have to reckon with Kivabafemi Awolo. And that was why he was regarded as the best president Nigeria never had. I was so much in love. I served him very much. And as a grassroots politician, people knew what my interest was. I became a councillor in my local government, Igero local government. Second time, a councillor in Ilegimegi local government at Iye. And in 1962, I told you I became a member of the 1962, I joined the action group. I became a member of the National Constitution Committee of the party. And eventually, 64, I became the national president of the Action Youth Association, And when Awolowo was facing the cerebral trial, I was one of witnesses.
In the court?
In the court, I was one of the witnesses. I was so much in love with him. And he too was so much in love with me. And when he was in prison in 1964 at Calabar, he sent a message home that they should make sure that in 1964 that I contested the election to the House of Representatives in the Igero local government. And his opinion was respected. And that was how I started my political life as a member of the House of Reps in 1964 until the coup of 1966. But it will interest you that coup met me in detention.
Wow.
I was very much an activist, Everybody knew me, The progressive elements in the country knew me. I was the national chairman of the Action Youth Association, and the immediate chairman of the party, of the association, was Fani Kayode, the father of the president, carried. So, and I was moving all about the country, and as a result of my activities, it would interest you that I said the coup met me in detention. I was in the House of Representatives. I was traveling to Ghana for an assignment. Some of our members were in Ghana then. I got to the airport. My wife had seen me off. It was still at the airport, and the plane had taken off. Meanwhile, before then, they had declared me a wanted man here, in Australia here, and I had to flee to Lagos. I was staying in Lagos. My plane was taken off in 1965. I was going to Ghana. And I suddenly found that the plane was descending again. When the plane came down, the plane was surrounded by policemen, armed policemen. They entered and brought me out. I was the one they were looking for. They took me to the police headquarters in Lagos to see the Inspector General of Police. And the Inspector General of Police was very generous to me.
Oh, okay.
It was very nice to me. He said my journey was going to be a long one. Whatever I wanted for breakfast, he would give me. And I told him I would like to take some bread and tea, and he offered me.
He was polite enough.
And polite. At the end of the at the end of the day, when I finished my tea and something, I was put in a police van, open, and I sat in an open police van with two policemen by my side, putting gun. I was driven out of Lagos.
To where?
So I just didn't know. But when I understand they were taking me to the north, but when they got to Ibadan, they said they should stop. The commissioner of police for Western Region then was Odofinbelo, I still remember. So they took me to Odofinbelo, and they said I should be kept at Agodi. So, and until I was moved to the north.
Which part of the north? You said to the north.
They got this. No, I don't know where.
Were you told the offense you committed?
No, I wasn't told. I was an activist.
That probably was the reason
and
why.
I championed the cause of Obafemi Awolowo. I gave evidence for him, and as a member of the Action Group Youth Association, I did a number of things which I won't mention here, which were not present to the government of the day. When there was the intra-party crisis between Awolowo and Akintola, I was on the side of Chief Obafemi Awolowo, and as a result of many things, for this interview,
Okay.
I may not like to worry you,
Okay, sir.
but I was taken to Agodi
Agodi
prison and detained there, and I was there when the coup of 1966 occurred. Everyone, we just said in the morning, Sardauna had been killed, Akintola had been killed, Okuteba had been killed. Everybody was surprised. So, and they released, and what really happened, the only house which I had, because they wanted to arrest me, because they didn't see me here. Somebody had written a letter that I borrowed some money from him, a very good friend of mine, and he had taken me to court that I should pay the money. He said, when I wanted to run for the elections of 1964, he loaned me some money, I didn't return it. So it took me to the court, and they said as you appear in the court here, they didn't see me, and they advertised in the paper, and the only house I had was sold. I was to be sold. The judge gave evidence. The house was to be sold on January 16th. But our God is a very kind God. The coup happened on January 15th. They could not sell the house. They had not sold the house. And when I left the detention, I came back here and challenged the order of the court before I regained my house. And I must say, politics in that time was a matter of service, dedication to a cause.
Rather than...
It's not as you have it now. I want to tell you, if it's surprising you that even the military, when the military came into office, Brigadier Oluwole wrote to me, invited me to Ibadan as a result of some problems which I had. Because I'd been taken to court for a number of offenses, you know, and went to intervention of the army, had organized an association which covered the entire ocean and all over Nigeria. Okay. Anti-Bribery and Corruption Committee of Nigeria. The police were not happy with me. You know, I would get to a checkpoint where the police were working. I'll sit down in the chair like this, come and collect money. A number of police officers were arrested and jailed. Even here, the incident, the chief medical officer in Lautech, in the general hospital, that's a young man who had left the university for 2 years. He wanted a job, he couldn't get it. And we were fairly friendly, this chief medical officer. I told him that this boy will be coming, they said he should get a medical report. And the medical officer said, except he brought some money, he said the amount. I pleaded with him very passionately. He said no. Then I took my phone. Sunday Adewusi was very close to me. I said, Sunday, can you send this amount to me, marked money, and come to Shobo? I told him the case. A young man had just got a job, but the doctor in the hospital insisted that except he got money from him. So Adewusi accepted my advice, and the man came, accompanied by 2 policemen dressed, you know,
plain clothes.
In plain. So when this young man came, eventually gave the doctor the money which he demanded. The doctor got the money and put it under the pillow and asked the boy to sleep to examine him. As soon as they did that, the boy had signaled to the people that Adewusi sent from Lagos.
The 2 plain clothes. And
they came and said, show the identity card. And the man said, no, I have not got anything on my body. They look at it. They didn't. But they look at the bed where they sleep, small bed like this, and look under the pillow and find the money there.
So that's it.
There, and then they just took in the van to Lagos. The forensic something in Lagos after that time.
Okay.
And when they got to Lagos and found it was positive, he had taken money. He was dismissed from service. Well, I was engaged in this type of thing.
Okay.
Many people were not happy with me.
Okay.
And until I met, I just got a call when I was to be tried for an offense which I did not commit.
Okay,
the police here were very ready. Newspapers all over the country had been invited. They said the national chairman of the Anti-Corruption Committee of Nigeria, I was the national. He should be tried for this offense, for that offense. A girl had come to my shop, pharmacy, to buy the drug, and they said she used the drug in aborting the pregnancy. And that attracted the attention of journalists all over the country. But God has been very kind to me. I didn't know, I'd never met Brigadier Oluwole before. I just telephoned him that they knew all about what I was doing. That I have a case here. I would be happy if he could transfer the case to Ibadan for investigation. And he accepted. And the guy who was said to have bought drugs from my shop at the moment didn't know. Aminu Kanu was very close to me. And when he traveled overseas, he gave me a small telephone at that time that would record anything. You would not know that it was there. You know, if I'm talking to you.
Americano.
Americano, yes. Americano. I gave him. So when the mother of the girl who was alleged to have bought some drugs from my shop spoke to me on the telephone, I used this gadget
To record your conversation.
So, and man said, it is the police who, because of the committee that you have set up, that said we should do this to you. I said, could you come to my house, the mother of the girl? The mother came and I put up the telephone, the gadget, and I was talking to it. And they gave us 10,000 naira that we had set up an anti-corruption committee. The police were not happy about it. So then I'd never met the girl who wrote him before. I telephoned him that I would be very happy if he could allow investigation of my case to take. But that was why the lady who was used as the mother came here. And when I got to Ibadan, the commissioner of police from Ijo there at that time.
The case was eventually in your favor.
And then Oluwole wrote to me, was so much impressed, and he called me. First to me, I want to appoint you as a member of the Western Nigeria Housing Corporation, and you'll be in charge of allocation of plots from Ikeja to Bodija. I personally brought the estate in Osogbo, known as Oloke Estate, all over Western region. Wow. He first of all asked me, would you like to be the chairman? I said no. And today I can tell you that of all the estates from Ikeja which I was allocating, there was no, today I have not a single plot anywhere. You know. And when even Abacha appointed me about the Constitutional Conference Commission in 1994, I had some problems with them too. My special assistant then was the former governor of Niger State, Aliyu Babangida. That was my 1994. And Aliyu Babangida, I'm sorry I should call it, brought an envelope to me. I said, what is this envelope for? He said, from the presidency. I opened it and saw some money in it. I called Aliyu. Aliyu had gone. The second day, we were to have a meeting with Abacha. It was a 19-man something. You know, I still remember some of the members. All of them are.
Okay.
And when Abacha opened the meeting, said, gentlemen, we want to introduce this into the Constitution. Would you accept it? The first person said, Mr. President, yes. Okay. I was the 13th person. When it got to me, he said, Senator, what would you think? I said, Mr. President, I got an envelope yesterday from, I cannot know why you did it. I said, no reasonable person would accept your proposal.
You told him?
I told him. In the night I had to get out, I was advised to get out from Abuja. And I went straight to Senator and resigned as a member of the Constitutional Conference. Then I had a police order who were treated as ministers. I got there. One Dufia was the governor. I surrendered the policeman and the car. It was a long struggle between me and Abacha. Okay. Abacha even gave me a house opposite the hotel in Abuja. I said, no, I would not accept it. Okay. Today, no one, of all the estates which, you know, someone would say, yes, I have just one house. I had made a decision in my life.
You don't have any house apart from this one?
In my hometown.
You have one.
It will interest you. This house which you are was built 100% by my wife. When he saw that I would not have more than one house, I have one house, and he built it.
Okay. Sir, you are 94 years old now, suggesting that the greater part of those years you have lived have been in politics. you spent them in politics. Have you found what you wanted in politics? Were you able to change, to impact on the lives of an ordinary man?
Well, God has been extremely kind to me. In 1964, when I was ill and saw the doctor, I wanted to contest the elections to the House of Reps. The doctor, after testing me, shouted on me, "My boy, what have you been doing with yourself?" I said, "I've been running around because I wanted to contest the election in 1964. He said, "No, you have only 4 months to live. I'll give you 30 minutes. Sit down there and take a decision." I said, "Doctor, I won't give you 30 seconds. Whatever drug that you give me, that will last me for 4 months." And the doctor said, "My boy, if you have decided to commit suicide, I cannot stop you. 55 years ago, I have not committed suicide. I see politics as service for humanity, for the people, to raise their level of poverty, to make sure that the common man does not suffer." And that is why I joined the action group. And when the Buhari came and, he wanted to fight corruption, and that was what I had wanted to do myself. Some people had turned the Federal Republic of Nigeria into the Federal Republic of corruption. And that is what Buhari has been doing. For anybody to fight corruption in this country, it's a very difficult task. But to fight corruption, as Buhari is now doing, is a task that can be done.
Okay. So, sir, at what point in time of your political career have you come into contact with Muhammadu Buhari, the president?
Well, Muhammadu Buhari, let me remember. I'm a member. I was in the action group, I was in the UPN, I was in the APC, and then when Muhammadu Buhari decided to join us to find the APC, I supported him, and when he won the elections, I also supported him. I supported him because he wanted to fight corruption. And the fundamental thing is the party to which I belong cannot have anything to do with a reactionary party. When some people in my party were supporting the PDP, were supporting the former vice president of Nigeria, I said no. And Buhari came out on the clean slate and said he wanted to do this. He had some challenges, there's no doubt about it. But any life without the challenge is no life at all. But at the end of the day, he will overcome, he shall overcome. Even as at now, what is uppermost in my mind that we must provide a level playing ground for politicians. We must make sure that the common man, does not suffer. But in a situation in which the money of the country, you have people stealing billions of naira, I begin to wonder, what are they going to do it? When the ordinary man, some of them cannot have 2 square meters in a day.
What advice do you have to give to the present day's politicians and of course those who are aspiring to become politicians in the future?
I used to say something, tough times do not last, but tough people do. I will all again would say, it is not life that matters, but the courage you bring into it. Until we decide to dedicate whatever we do to the common man in the street, who cannot have 2 square meters in a day, See what is happening today now. As a result of 16 years of governmental decadence, unemployment, insecurity, something has to be done. And we all have to come together. But corruption is sitting deep into the lives of the nation, destroyed everything. We must do everything that lies in our power. Some people are blaming Buhari. I'm not saying that Buhari is 100%. He has his own challenges, but he's doing his best. And we should support him. We should play less premium on money, more premium on service. We should be committed to the people. We should be dedicated. It is not life that matters, but the calling you bring in.
We have been discussing with the national leader of NTA, Senator Chief AYO in the program Reflections. We hope you enjoyed being with us in the program. On behalf of everybody that had a hand in bringing you the program, I remain yours, Muhammad Abubakar, and on behalf of the guest, I say thank you. Be with us same time next time.
Appreciate you coming here.
Thank you, sir.
You're from Katsina State.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
God bless.
Thank you for...
I wish you safe journey back
Thank you, sir.
to Abuja.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Okay.